Hey everybody, what's going on? Your host LovelyCheesePizza here. Welcome back to Let's Play some more Gran Turismo 3, the Ultimate Driving Simulator. And before we get started on everything tonight, I have a little surprise for you. And it comes in the form of a little blue box. And it goes by the name of this! I'm so happy for this damn thing. I finally went and picked it up from Best Buy today. They were holding it for me at the pickup desk, and as soon as I got my hands on it, I just had this rush of euphoria because I can't wait to play it. Not going to do it right away, though. It's something that I want to make sure that I have like all my audio and everything all down pat before we start messing with it, because I don't want to have the first 5 episodes be me fucking around with audio levels trying to figure it out. So we'll get there, though. Once we have all that down, we'll be knee-deep in it, and it'll be awesome. So what we're doing tonight, my friends, is we are starting up the Professional League. The thing where every fucking race has at least 10 laps or more, and by 10 laps or more, I mean a couple of these, I'm not kidding, are like 50 and 75 lap races, which is fucking stupid. But in my eyes, what better a way to start the ultimate level of competition than to use the ultimate driving vehicle that comes in the form of a Viper GTSR Team Eureka edition that I am horrendously uncomfortable driving, but I don't care because I just need to. We unlocked it for usage last time, and I just want to play with it because I know that this exists, and oh, 966 horse sex, you know? Nothing like watching 966 horses all have sex with each other simultaneously under the hood of your own car. It is great. We're also going to get these super slick tires because we need those, as these long-winded slices of hell are going to do nothing more than set my own soul ablaze. And now, we get to see what we're up against. We'll see what goes on in here. We've got the British GT Car Cup, a lot of the usual suspects, and then we have the Italian Avant-Garde Cup, which will be really cool because it'll involve us actually having to spend money for something significant for a change. We have the Vitz race again. Yeah, that's why I held on to it. The Aris and Clio, and the Aris. It's the Aris! You're busting my balls, hon. You're busting my balls. We got the Polyphony Digital Cup, Like the Wind, which God knows what that could only mean. I know it's on the test course, so I'm sure it's a real doozy. And then this fucker. This is the thing I was just telling you about. I'm almost positive those last 2 races on that docket there are like 50 and 75 lap races, and that is so stupid to me. But that probably makes sense because they make you have an S license just to get through the fucking door. So, you know what? They can go shove that boot halfway up their ass and then, you know, do whatever else they want with it. You know, maybe store their pennies or whatever. I don't know, you wouldn't be able to do that because unless you're laying on your stomach, you wouldn't be able to put pennies inside of a boot that's firmly up your own ass. Here's the problem. I did not see what race this was to start. The game would totally fuck me over by doing that! Damn it! We have to start this thing on Grand Valley Speedway. How messed up is that? Oh no. Alright, so we got a GT40 race car. I'm not really worried about that. The XJ220 could be interesting though. 787B, The GT1, though, that red guy up front, he could be a problem, and then that R390 GT1, I think, is also going to be a significant problem. But we will see. And now here we go. Here's the thing that I worry about. It's not necessarily so much the cars we're driving against, it's the fact that I don't know what this race wants from me. Like, do they want me to, you know, try to tactfully figure out when I'm going to use a pit stop? And then try to, you know, build my way back up towards the end? Or is this going to be a situation where I have to go through this crazy-ass, like, tire wear marathon with somebody because they're going to be like, hey, I got an idea. We're going to have one car out of the whole lot that doesn't utilize this, and then we're going to make you try to go through laps 8, 9, and 10 with, you know, your back right tire literally not even fucking existing anymore. That's what I worry about. I don't really know what to expect here. And so I'm going to try to tread lightly on this. I'm going to try my very best to preserve these tires as best I can and just keep an eye on the rest of the competition here to see, you know, what it is that they're going to do. And then we'll act accordingly. If I can get a situation where, you know, my 2 main, you know, competition vehicles both hit the pits and we're able to escape on this, I'll feel really good. If not, I don't really know what our fate is going to be here, but I'm trying so hard to take these turns easily. Because we're already, you know, kind of warming these things up a little bit, and I didn't want to yet. I don't want these things to be, like, in their bright, you know, greenish yellow stage until, like, lap 3, but I don't foresee that happening necessarily. So, well, we'll see what happens, though. We will see. I'm trying to stay optimistic here. And while we're in this long-winded, you know, chess match here, let's talk about a couple of things, because hey, yesterday was Halloween, and I feel like that on its own merit requires some discussion, because I love hearing about Halloween. I love hearing about what everybody's doing for it. So, do tell me, as I'm getting started into this conversation, do tell me what you guys did for Halloween. Did you go to the, you know, did you go trick-or-treating? Did you take your kids trick-or-treating if you're the type that has a family like myself? You know, did you stay home instead and just have like a, you know, cool-ass, you know, long, you know, horror movies marathon, you know, with popcorn and, you know, getting a pizza in the shape of a demon's face? You know, did you hand out candy to other people and intentionally try to scare them out of their wits and make them shit themselves so that you could laugh at them and ruin their childhoods forever? You know, did you go to like a Halloween party that was, you know, being hosted by, you know, coworkers from work? Did you, you know, go to one of those super crazy, ultra legit haunted houses that they have all over the place now that, you know, it's like way beyond what I would have ever imagined a haunted house actually being, and one that I really need to visit at some point? You know, what did you guys do? What did you guys do? For me, it was the first time in nearly 10 years that I actually had the day off on Halloween. I never ever have that. And so I actually got to, you know, experience that for the first time in forever. And now that I've got a fiance and 2 children, with a 3rd one on the way, you know, I finally got to take the kids out trick-or-treating, and that was such an awesome experience. It was so cool. And the best part was that Michaela and I already, you know, we kind of drew up this whole idea of, you know, how we wanted, you know, like where we wanted to take them trick-or-treating. Like we wanted to take them through our old stomping grounds to have optimal, you know, candy, you know, acquisition on the evening. And so we wanted to take them through the neighborhood that we both grew up at, you know, well, not the same exact one. We wanted to go take them to the neighborhood that I grew up in as a teenager, because, you know, that's a damn good neighborhood for it. And then if we had enough time, we wanted to take them through the one that I grew up in when I was a lot younger, when I was a child. Because that neighborhood, I think, was really the best out of the whole bunch. It had the perfect setup. It was this long street that on one side had this whole set of cul-de-sacs, like probably 10 or 11 of them. And you just go down one cul-de-sac, and there's probably a good like 20 to 25 houses in this you know, one cul-de-sac. Then you come down, you go down the street, and you go down another one. You do that, and you go down another one, and another one. And by the end of it, you know, just on this one side of the road alone, you know, you've probably got yourself a good 200 houses worth of candy, you know, provided that the majority of them all have their lights on and whatnot. Which, when I was a kid, there were like never any houses that didn't participate. You know, everybody was all in on it. And so, you know, just on that end alone, you could have a standard pillowcase, you know, probably like a good 1/3 of the way full just from that. But then you come down, you know, when you get all the way down to the end of the street, you go to the other side of the street and you walk all the way back, and there's another huge handful of houses just waiting for you. Like, one year, I remember going down just that stretch alone, along with another couple of streets, and I had my pillowcase literally half full. And you think about the concept of a standard pillowcase being half full of candy, that is absurd. Like that, the weight from that would be enough to make that thing start bursting at the seams. So I'm super down with it. But we ended up only taking them through the first neighborhood instead. Which, during the course of that, I had 2 moments that were profoundly so awesome that made me almost, you know, bring a tear to my own eye. And then there was one part of it that was absolutely super fucked up and not cool whatsoever. And I'll get to that one last. I want to load you with the positivity before I bring this crashing down with negativity the size of Texas. So we got the kids all dressed up in their stuff, and the kids wanted to be characters from Star Wars because they're fucking amazing. and it gave me a total nerdgasm when I saw them come out in costume. Haley wanted to be Rey from Force Awakens, which, hey, you know what? She's about as sassy and awesome as she is, so it worked out perfectly. And then Preston wanted to be Kylo Ren, which, dude, his costume was fucking sick. It was so cool. I loved every bit of it. So they got in costume. We took them over to that neighborhood, and we got down to business. And while they were out, you know, I had a moment or two where, as they're, you know, walking in front of us, and you know, they've got their candy buckets and such. One of which I actually fit I put my phone with that was connected to Spotify in there. I put the Imperial March in Preston's bucket so that it could play the Imperial March the whole time while they were going from house to house. Of which it got all the compliments. Like, everybody was super down with that. They're like, "Oh, you got the song playing," and da-da-da-da. Even if technically it was the wrong one, because I'm pretty sure they had an entirely different theme for that in Force Awakens than the original ones did. So, okay, yep. Now we've got this guy to deal with. But it worked out anyways. I wanted something, you know, I wanted it to be one that everybody's going to recognize. And so it worked out very, very well. And so while they're running ahead, going to houses and getting their stuff, I just had this moment where I kind of took a step back and just kind of thought to myself, man, this is really, really cool. Like, I've finally come full circle. Like, I remember, you know, it kind of took me through a nostalgia trip of remembering when I was the kid, and, you know, my parents were, you know, kind of following closely behind, but still letting me run up to the houses and just having a fucking blast, you know, and just like the happiness that it gave me, seeing how much fun they were having, and, you know, just running up to a house and being in costume and getting just fucking gobs of candy and hanging out with your brother and sister, and seeing friends along the way that you know, and be like, "Oh, your costume's cool," and just that sheer level of childhood excitement that they got to experience was just so fucking awesome. And I just loved it. That was a moment that it just made me so damn proud, you know. And so that was definitely the best memory that I had of that whole thing, was just finally, you know, being on the other end of it, being a parent, and just getting to watch it all happen, you know. Watching them go up to these really cool-ass houses that are, you know, super just decked out to no end, where they've got all these cool-ass graphics, you know, they got these cool, like, lighting systems that they've got ghosts flying around all over the place, and one of these houses had, like, a crazy-ass, like, fortune teller booth set up where, you know, one of them was dressed up as a witch, and the other guy was just like a dead zombie lying in a chair, and they were doing all these crazy things. Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. That's not where we want to be. There we go. Man, this guy is aggressive as shit in this car, man. He is all over the place. He's giving me a run for my money, though. This is the car that I was telling you. I don't know if they want me to marathon this guy, or if he's just eventually going to, you know, finally give in and go do his business. I don't really know what they want from me here. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with it. But one of these houses we went up to, they had, like, the whole, you know, like, sound effect system in place where they were just blasting music, and they had all the cool graphics, and they had like a dragon that was on the roof of the house, and it was all this crazy stuff, and it was blaring Monster Mash, which, hey, you gotta listen to Monster Mash at least once on Halloween. That's like the ultimate, you know, thing. And here's my one beef, though. I came to a realization last night, finally, after all this time, that have you ever noticed that in the song Monster Mash, at no point during that song do they ever tell you what the Monster Mash actually is? Like, they never actually play the Monster Mash song. The entire song is devoted to them telling you about, like, the big party that's going on, you know, that we're, you know, there's, like, Dracula and his son, and all these fucking goblins and ghouls and all this shit, and the Crypt Kicker 5 is playing the Monster Mash, and everybody's, you know, living the shit up. But at no point do they actually play the Monster Mash song, and it bothers the shit out of me. It's all about them saying, "Oh, they played the Monster Mash, and it was a graveyard smash, and it caught on in a flash," and all that stuff. But they never actually play the damn song, and it bothers me. But it's still cool, though. The song's totally still a jam, no matter what. So, yeah, that was kind of my one thing there. But other really cool moment in this, because I'm running out of time now, is I wanted to take them by my old house, because they never saw the house that I grew up in when I was a teenager. And ever since we moved out of that house and moved over here to my grandma's, I've really had a hard time, facing, like, going by that house after that. It was a really emotional thing for me, and so I've never really been able to, have that moment where I actually, kind of almost conquer my fear of it and actually go up to the house. But I wanted to take them up to it and be like, hey, so this is where I grew up when I was a teenager. Like, this was the house that I was in. I had all these wonderful memories in there and all this stuff. And so I wanted you guys to be able to share in that too. And so I took him up to the house, and this was the only house that I actually walked all the way up to the front door in, because I wanted to see, I wanted to be able to, not in like a super creepy way, but I kind of wanted to just like peek inside the house just a little bit, just to kind of see what they did with it, because I knew they made a lot of sweeping changes. I just never saw it for myself. And so they got their candy, and I just kind of took it in for a minute. And right as I was getting ready to leave and, start going to their house, I just decided just to make a little comment as I was leaving. And so I was like, I just wanted to let you guys know that the house looks really, really nice, and I think you did a great job with it. And so I said that, and she's like, well, thank you. And I was like, just to let you know, you probably don't recognize me at all, but I was one of the people that lived in this house before you guys bought it. And she's like, well, actually, it's not my house, it's my aunt and uncle's house. And as soon as they said that, they're like, I heard this voice ring from inside, and they're like, who was that talking? And they're like, well, there's the person I'm talking to out here, they're saying that they lived in this house before you guys did. And they're like, hey, is that one of the Fosters? And I was like, yeah, I'm one of the Fosters. And and they came running to the door. They're like, oh, hey. They're like, it's so good to see you. Have you seen the house? Have you been able to see the house since we bought it? I was like, no, not yet. They're like, well, come on inside. You want to see it? And I was like, really? Like, you guys will actually let me in and come look at it? They're like, of course, yeah, come in. Your parents have seen it before, and I'm sure you probably would love to see it. And I was just like, yes, absolutely. Like, I was blown away that they were so willing to just let me go inside and look at it. And like, as soon as I walked in, it was so weird. I had like this total, trip down memory lane. Like, it was weird because there were so many changes that they made to it. The changing all the floor to hardwood floor, and taking out all the carpet, and they took out part of a wall in there, and they changed the layout of all the rooms. Like, the living room that I remember sitting in was like a formal dining room now, and the other family room was they turned that into the living room, and the way they had like all the furniture set up and where the TV was, in contrast to where we always had it, was completely different. So for it having such this weird familiar feeling, like I remember it was so foreign at the same time, but they made it look so good. And like, I remember just at one point walking through there, and like I started choking up, because I always had this fear that when they moved into that house that they just totally destroyed it, because I knew they made a lot of changes, and I was so afraid that they just like they totally wrecked it and that it would look terrible. But they made it look so good, and it made me so happy that I was able to finally see it with my own eyes and have like this peace of mind that they took care of it, And so I kind of got choked up a little bit. I didn't cry, damn it, but I kind of got a little emotional, and I thanked them profusely like a million times for them, letting me in and being so gracious to, show me their home. And, and understanding that, I hadn't seen it yet, and that they knew that I probably wanted to have a nostalgia moment with all of it, and they were just really fucking nice people. I loved it. So, now that's out of the way, I'm running out of time here. I gotta do the super fucked up moment, because I'm sure you guys have been waiting for that, instead of me having this weird emotional time. So, when all the trick-or-treating started, we started in one corner of this neighborhood, and as we're getting started, we had gone to one house, and as we're getting ready to walk out onto the driveway, we see this van. We see this van driving with its hazard lights on, just like barely like inching its way along. And it's got all the windows down, and it is just blasting this super creepy and not at all cool, distorted ass like carnival music. I'm talking like some fucking gross ass like calliope music, and in no way, shape, or form is it acceptable. And it's just like this and it's like super distorted, doesn't sound at all right. And then we see these two grown-ass adults dressed up like these fucking creepy-ass clowns, one of which like was in like the super all-the-way clown outfit. This other guy was dressed up in like a pair of tattered jeans, a red sweatshirt, and he had a clown mask on. And he just had this weird look about him. Like the way that the clown face looked, it looked just a little bit off. Like it didn't have like a regular, genuine, you know, like standard clown look to it. It just had like this way more demented than acceptable look to it. And the clowns were walking outside on either side of this van, and they were walking extra slow, and they were just like staring at people. Like they weren't talking, they weren't laughing, they weren't doing anything. They were just plain walking around and staring at people in this super uncomfortable way. And as we're walking by, Haley has an absolute insane fear of clowns. I mean, she is absolutely morbidly afraid of them. And so as soon as she saw that, as soon as she made eye contact with one of them, the guy in the red sweatshirt with just the fucking, you know, mask on, she stopped dead in her tracks, and you could visibly tell right away that she was upset with it. And this fucking guy decided he saw what was going on. He knew that she was uncomfortable with it, and so he took a few steps closer, and then he just stopped dead in his tracks and just stared. He didn't make any gestures. He just stood there just like this and just stared at her. Did not, and like and we tried walking around him, and he would just turn, you know? He would just turn his whole body, not just his head, he would turn his whole body and just continue staring because he knew that it was freaking her out. And so I was just trying to, you know, I didn't want to make a scene out of it. I was just like, hey, it's okay. We'll keep going. We'll keep going to another house, and we're just going to try to space ourselves out from a little bit. And he just kept on looking, and he slowly started walking after us because we were the only ones that really reacted to it. And so at one point, Michaela she turned and gave him the look like, if you need to fucking knock it off, or I'm gonna rip that fucking mask off of you and beat the shit out of you. I'm just trying to keep her calm because she's like slowly starting to lose it. And she's starting to cry. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. We're gonna get you away from it. We're gonna get you away from it. And so we start kind of taking off and beelining it down the street to start getting out in the neighborhood. And he starts following us again a little bit faster. And we ended up both turning and looked at this guy, and we kind of gave him the, I swear to God, if you don't leave us alone, we're gonna skull fuck you until you're dead type of look. And he eventually backed off, but it was so fucking creepy. Like, what was to be gained for him on that? That's the part that I don't understand, is why? Like, what possesses three grown-ass people, because there was the guy that was driving the van that was blaring the music, and then the two other clowns. Like, what was the point? You're just gonna go out there and purposefully try to scare the living shit out of, you know, unsuspecting children that are anywhere between the ages of like 1 or 2 up to, you know, up to probably 15. And we saw people that are in various age ranges in there. Like, you're just going out to try to scare people on purpose, you know? A lot of which are probably really not going to be cool with that, especially considering in the state of Oregon, we had this weird pandemic a number of months ago where there were people dressing up as clowns and menacing people and, like, you know, doing, like, vandalizing stuff and causing all sorts of problems where they were, like, telling people to stay inside because it was turning into an issue. And so it was just, the whole thing was fucking weird, but it was super fucked up and not cool. Like, that paired up with that music was absolutely not acceptable by any means. That was by far the least comfortable thing we saw the entire night. You know, out of all the ghosts and ghouls and goblins and demons and crap, that far and away was so not tight. Just having these dudes, random ass dudes in clown get-ups, just like slowly, uncomfortably walking around, just staring at people, not saying anything, and just like just like inciting fear in them. It was really weird. It's the only Halloween out of all the years I've ever been alive where I saw something like that going on. You know, it was really strange. But that was the thing, though. I wish I would have taken a picture of it. I really wish I would have, because I would have totally put it up on the screen for you guys to see it. It was for a guy that doesn't have a fear of clowns like myself. It was fucked up. It was really not tight. Not just because of me being a parent and, you know, one of my children was like losing her composure entirely. It was just fucked up. So that was my story on that, guys. But yeah, so that was the thing. So it looks like we're gonna have ourselves a nice little bit of competition here. It's gonna be interesting, because some of these races that are a little more technical than Grand Valley, I don't know, man. It's gonna be hard. But until then, my friends, we will deal with that next time around. Until then, this is your host, LovelyCheesePizza, saying thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one, everybody. Looking forward to reading your stories and comments and such in the thing. So, have a good one. I'll see you later.